right now on the Pure West Radio Facebook page. Now, this Thursday, Haverfordwest County are back in Europe with a trip to North Macedonia. And we thought to help us look ahead to that game on Thursday, we would talk to someone who played for the Bluebirds the last time they were in European competition. It was the Europa League back in 2004. And it was against the Icelandic side FH. And to tell us more about it, a Haverfordwest legend, former manager and left back in that side, Wayne Jones is with us. Wayne, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Ben. Thanks, mate. Very well.
Listen, it's really good to have you on, and I know plenty for Gordon and Fraser to ask you as well. But how do you think everyone at the club will be feeling this week? Because it's so exciting, isn't it, to be back involved, back in Europe? It must be a special few days these for the club and the players.
Yeah, I think, obviously they've been away to Ireland. The preparation from the players' point of view, I think, has been spot on. They played, I think, the Swans a couple of days ago. So, they've had good tests, I think, from a playing point of view. Tony and Wagyu have got them fit and ready for it. But I think just the general buzz around the place that, to be fair to Rob, the chairman, his ambition as soon as he came through the door, as we all know, was ideally within 3 years to get to Europe, and he's achieved that. And along the way, it's not just, I think, from what I've seen from my time as a player, as well as, obviously managing, how big the club has grown throughout the community, throughout, the county. And I think it's just fabulous, and nothing but praise for everybody concerned, to be fair. So, obviously, I think it's a bit of disappointment in terms originally that they couldn't travel fans over, but I think that's been sort of put aside for the time being, and there's quite a few travelling from what I've been told. But no, I think the buzz. I spoke to one or two of the players and leading up to it, and obviously they're really buzzing for it, to be fair.
Well, I'll bring Fraser and Gordon in just a sec, but let me just take you back first of all. So it's Skendeja of North Macedonia on Thursday. For you in 2004, it was FH of Iceland. So what was it like getting ready for a game and 2 games in Europe in July in terms of preparing for that? Because it must have been a really quick turnaround.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously we're going back now, nearly 20 years ago. And I had, I think it was my second year at the club. I left from my hometown club of Carmarthen, went down there, and when I joined it, the ambition was never really to get into Europe as soon as what we did. Things behind the scenes of the club changed, different hands, and they were in a position, I think, financially to invest within the squad, which took us there. But I think it's when you finish the season end of April, what it was then, because we were playing a lot more football then in terms of there's more opposition. I think there was 18 odd teams in the league, so you were finishing, and the rearranged games then were pinned back the season, so you'd only have a 2-3 week break. But Darren was our gaffer at the time, and his preparation was superb, him and Mickey Lewis, although Mickey didn't travel because he's petrified of flying. But I remember, clear as a player, it was fantastic, and we had a really good, strong group of players, to be fair, at the time.
Gordon. Yeah, Wayne, I like Haverfordwest have qualified to get into this, but you actually finished, I believe Haverfordwest finished 3rd in the league that particular season to play in the competition. Why was there such a drastic change in, because Haverfordwest was struggling before that, why was there such a drastic change in form, do you think? Was it the players coming in? Was it the management? What was the key thing that happened that particular season?
Yeah, I think, certainly the players coming in, God, I mean, I came part of that group really because Darren was there a season before myself. And I think I may be wrong, it was someone like John Lewis, I think, was in charge before he left the club. And there's a lot of players who were around. So I don't think, the finances were there. So Darren had to build from a local contingency of players at the time. And within that, it was a work in progress. From what I recall, that I remember meeting when I signed, the chairman then was Winston Griffiths. And he had ambitions, being a local lad, and Haverfordwest through along with Barry Vaughan. And there was people like John Daniels who came on the scene then. Even a player who's in that squad, they're helped behind the scenes by Dion Jones. I think Dion helped with the finances at the time to sort of make the club stable and obviously reinvest, which they done. And then obviously Darren brought in players, i.e. Lee Kendalls. Before that was players like Eston Chiverton, which brought Lee down from the Cardiff contingency. And then obviously Colin Loss. So they had cars coming down from there along with myself, and still a lot of local lads as well. Dylan Blaine was involved, Rob Jones, Lee Hudgell, Tim Hicks. You know, these are all youngsters coming through and learning our trade as such. And I mean, I was only 22 myself, playing at that time. So I was fairly young and new to it all and inexperienced, although I had previous experience playing in Europe with Carmarthen 2 years before I signed down. But yeah, it all came so quick, and the club sort of little bit like Rob, maybe not as the level with Rob now, but it happened, you know, within a season period. But there was no expectation to go where we were. But we went that full season. I remember now, unbeaten at home all season. I think we actually only conceded something like 15 goals at home all season, which is fantastic. You know, so Darren had a nucleus, and being a defender himself, you know, he really wanted to work defensively tight, and we were lucky then we had players prior to that with Rhys Griffiths playing for us, but I think Rhys left us prior to the European campaign, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you know, it was a fantastic, strong team with mixed youth, locals and experience, you know.
Go on, Fraser.
Wayne, obviously the game has been played at Cardiff City Stadium this summer. That reason has been explained, to be fair. It's perfectly understandable. That's something you guys had to do back then, didn't you? You moved to home late in Ninian Park. What was the feeling amongst the players about that? Was there excitement that you were going to play for, obviously, a league ground? I don't know what league Cardiff were in at the end. Or was there a tinge of disappointment that you maybe weren't taking them down to your own home ground? It's probably a more unfamiliar environment for them, a small stadium like that.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I mean, again, it's always been the case, you know, even here until grounds are developed now, that facilities and you have to have the certain regulations and the costings. And I remember it was Barry Vaughan, to be fair, and Des Shanklin, who was alive at the time, was a big pulling factor in that, you know, because he had a lot of contacts with the FAW. And, you know, I know Des was instrumental in getting us a ground, you know, from a personal point of view. And, you know, for us, at the time, we were playing in the FA Premier Cup was about. And I had previously played with Carmarthen, I'd Wrexham at the racecourse, I played at the Vetch of Swansea. So Cardiff was the only one from a personal point that I hadn't played. So when we went to Ninian Park, I thought, that's another one ticked off. I've done all the 3 major Welsh clubs. I remember that at the time, and personally I was delighted. But I think, you know, again, disappointment for the locals, but, you know, we had a massive crowd up there. I remember in the main stand, obviously three sides were cordoned off, Bob Bank opposite and the Grange end, but the main stand on the top tier, I remember it now, coming off the pitch, looking up, and it was just packed, because it echoed so loud. The atmosphere was fabulous, I've got to say.
When you got drawn against FH, because I'm interested, you know, in what they've been able to do now, playing aside from North Macedonia, it must be hard to get information about them. Back then, FH of Iceland, you lost the first leg 1-0 at Ninian Park. What did you know about them going into the game? Did you know anything about them at all?
We didn't, and I remember, like Darren, we sort of all scratching our heads, and for us it was like a bonus to the club. So it was a case of go out, enjoy the occasion. You know, Darren's had I remember him saying previous experience with Wrexham and everything else with it. So, and Welsh owners and travel, and like you saying, you know, you're travelling to play for what is our local club. Go and embrace it, and we done it that way. It was fantastic. It really was. And like you said, I remember we lost the home leg 1-0. I think it was a David Barnhouse own goal deflection. I remember, you know, I've been thinking a lot about it today. And then we went away, and one thing I noted, we pulled into the ground quite naive now, being Welsh farmers or whatever you want to call us. And we trained the night before, and John Roberts was our physio then at the time. And we all pulled into the ground, chatting on the bus, looking, because we were due to train on it. And it was a case of, we were all like, lads, there's no floodlights here. What's going on? This hasn't got the criteria we were saying. We're obviously out in Iceland because they play certain times, and it doesn't get dark at certain periods of the year. And we were all, like I said, a bit top calling as you want. And John was correcting us on the bus. Well, in certain parts of the year it doesn't get dark here, so they play their season there. Hence, no floodlights. But it's just something that sticks in my head, you know, based pulling up on that night, like, you know.
Go on, Gord.
Yes, it ended up obviously as a 4-1 defeat in Aggregate, which looked quite comprehensive. But correct me if I'm wrong, you actually scored early out in Iceland through Tim Hicks.
We did. Timmy Hicks. Yeah, we did.
And of course, away goals came into play. So another goal would have actually seen you take total control. Was there any feeling that you could have won it on the night? Do you look back with any regret at all?
We do, because I actually had a nightmare out there, if I'm being honest. I got run around, and personally, you know, my performance wasn't good enough. But, you know, we scored early, and I remember it now. Come on, we'll just give it our best shot. And to be fair, as the game went on, they were, you know, levels above us, and, you know, they upped the gear, 2 or 3 gears, to be fair. And And hence, I go back to what I said, the player I actually marked that game signed for Tottenham Hotspur a week after. I forget his name, but he actually did. And I remember the players rigging me after it. And I think I got him a 2-year contract with Spurs.
What do you remember about the preparations for that second leg then, Wayne? When did you all fly out? How long did you get out there? Because I think the Bluebirds travel out, I'm pretty sure tomorrow they'll be heading over there. So a bit of a build-up. What was it like back then? When did you fly out to Iceland for that second
Well, we
leg?
flew out because obviously I live in Carmarthen. I remember the bus was leaving at 2:00 in the morning. I think we were flying.
Wow.
We were due to fly from Stansted, and
Oof.
obviously, it's one of the longest journeys we can get at. And there's the car load then with Lee Kendall. I can remember now, Colin Loss, Darren Ryan was with us, but Darren was suspended because I think he got sent off in a game, or I think he was when he was with Barry, so he couldn't play but he travelled. But the car load came, and they actually went to Luton Airport. So we were all in the departure round in Stansted, and I think Kenny Ellis was with us then. Remember Kenny? I don't know, obviously Gordon, some of the boys, great character. And I remember him trying to give directions to Kendall how to get from Stansted to Luton in the car. And we were all in the departure round. It was absolutely bonkers. But like you said, we got out there all together, and it was fantastic. Like you said, the occasion was absolutely brilliant.
The record books do show, because I have had a look on the UEFA website, Wayne. You say you struggled personally in the second leg. According to the records, I don't know if you remember this, there was a 92nd minute booking for Jones of Haverfordwest County. Do you remember that?
I don't, if I'm being honest, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Yeah, it must probably rugby tackled him or something in the end.
Yellow card, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't for taking anybody out; it was for chops him usually.
Yeah. It's quick my tongue, God, don't I?
That must have been was that one of your highlights? Though,
No, they were great
as
days.
As a player, yeah. Was that
yeah,
one of the
it
highlights?
was.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I mean, it was certainly, obviously, to achieve that sort of accolade there, get him into Europe for the first time ever, and that will go down in history, won't it? No matter what, and it's just something you can, tick off. And I'm quite proud of what I do, and I look back, and that's just something that I can really say that I was really proud to be part of. Along with, I was part of the campaign when we had to get points when the first thing I joined in Carnarvon for us to stay in the Welsh Premier, and we got a result up there, and we stayed in there, and that was something special as well, if I'm being honest.
That's really good. How do you think the players will be
feeling?
Being
an ex-manager, obviously, Wayne, how are you looking forward to this campaign? Because I know you're quite pally with Tony Pennock. What sort of job do you feel he's done? He's got him to you.
It was never in question for me. I mean,
they didn't play to their full potential, or?
Well, definitely. They're only going to go bigger and stronger. Like I said, I mean, I worked with Tony when I was with Aberystwyth as well. And, I know him personally. And obviously, prior to him to come into the club, obviously, I spoke to Rob, the chairman. And, like you said, my sort of reference was nothing but positive. And that, listen, I said this from the off, that him and Gary, like you said, with the right things in place, they will go bigger, better and stronger. And I think with Rob's ambition, they're in great hands at the end of the day. With all due respect, Tony's used to playing at a higher level and coaching at a higher level, and that can only be an asset for the club, which, from my point of view, I think it's absolutely outstanding. I got to be honest.
Wayne, for the players' point of view, going in next week, now obviously it's something you experienced yourself. Well, it was celebrated when they reached Europe, rightly so. You got to enjoy those moments. Things tend to go a bit far and wider now, don't they, with social media and so on?
Yeah.
But at what stage do you think maybe the euphoria and everything and the excitement dies down and it gets to the fact that they are on a big stage here and they do want to perform, win or lose? We're not talking about disgracing themselves or anything like that, but they want to give a good account, so they don't want to waste an opportunity, which could be once in a lifetime for some boys. Did you sense that? Was there any point when you guys there where you remember thinking, right, we've got here now, but all of a sudden, right, we have to perform? Did it ever stop being fun and exciting in a way?
A lot of, like say, anxiety, I think, is the main word for it, because you're going into it, and I remember like the FIFA officials for a start, they come in round in their suits and the way the preparation is done, in terms of
players aren't used to, isn't it?
Things players aren't used to, and also as well, the players you're playing against and internationals maybe for other clubs, they're full times, they don't know any different way. We were part-time, we work and we have to go back to our jobs maybe the following Monday or Tuesday. But I think the way it's all sort of changing and evolving now is that it's their job, it's professional. And I think, like the way the Welsh Premier's going now, it's, it's become, it is. It's a livelihood now, and you've got to earn your money. You've got to treat it, with respect, with as much professionalism, which obviously Tony and Gary, who are ex-pros in terms of the coaching, will implement that, no doubt, to the players. It'll be the dietitian, their sleep patterns, it'll be their training regimes, their recovery sessions. That will all play, and no doubt would have done for the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, knowing Tony. And he would have had each certain players. I know obviously recently the new signings coming in. He would have done certainly one-to-ones in terms of seeing where they're at and what levels they are. And no doubt this would have been done prior to them actually signing, in my opinion. And I'm fairly confident that's happened.
Well, Wayne, it is great to talk to you about what it was like last time Haverfordwest were in Europe. What would you be saying to the players now? What would your message to them be ahead of Thursday?
Well, like you said, the first thing, you go and enjoy it. I think Tony will have a game plan for them. They've worked on it. They've played against some really good opposition over the last couple of weeks. So, in terms of their preparation and their tactical awareness to the sort of game, because they played Swansea, majority of first team. I know is rolled in subs on the weekend, and that's most probably one of the best tests they could have had, because they will be looking not maybe at that level, but if it's somewhere around that, then they'll be in good stead for it. And I think hence why they played them, and they played them at the right time. And
what do you think would be a good result coming back to Cardiff with the tie still alive? Would that be the aim, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's got to be the aim. I think if they go into it any other way and they don't want to go and get rolled over, that'll certainly be implemented. Stay tight, compact, look to pick them off. I mean, obviously they've signed, they brought quite a bit of height. They may play a different style of play, in terms of the continental styles are different. They may look to play, set plays and look to get something off that. And like you said, I don't doubt Tony will have 1 or 2 tricks up his own sleeve, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Well, listen, Wayne, we'll say good luck to Haverfordwest County on Thursday in North Macedonia. We'll be following that really closely, and we'll look back on it on the show next week. It's really good to talk to you, Wayne. You're always welcome on Pure West Sport. Thank you ever so much for your time. And just before you go, and for people watching on the video, are you going to tell us about the shirt that's behind you? People
well,
this is the shirt. Video.
I noticed you were calling FH. It's a lot better because Havana de Joie is what the name I always recall it was started. Hard to pronounce, but FH sounds good. No, obviously the player I think I got the 2-year contract from. I got his shirt after the game, and obviously there's a couple of pictures from when I played in the game in Indian Park and the team. And one of my best mates from my 40th birthday, my wife gave him the shirt because I collected all my shirts and my memorabilia, and he said he just wanted to give me a gift, obviously. And it was at the period then when I was literally just finished with Haverfordwest, so he wanted a bit of a token, a souvenir for myself. Yeah. So there we are.
There we go. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, we'll be talking to one of the Bluebirds from today. He might have done exactly the same with a
well, I've actually got the shirt I wore. If you can see, I'll just show.
Oh, he's knocked himself off.
Oh, he has. Wayne's turned his sound off. But I think he was going to show us. Can you turn your volume back on for us, Wayne, so you can tell us about that shirt? You might not be able to. It doesn't matter. I think we get the gist.
He switched off.
Yeah, no, we've lost sound. But listen, Wayne, thank you for being with us on the show this evening. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck to the Bluebirds on Thursday. He's back.
I'll be up in the Cardiff City Stadium screaming them on. And if I can fit into the shirt I wore that particular time, I'd be delighted.
I think you should. I think you absolutely should be wearing that.
I've got the home shirt as well that I wore. So
yeah, you're a top man. Great to talk to you, Wayne.
Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And good luck and all stay safe.
We will just take a moment. We'll come back for the final part of Pure West Sport next.